it's better than the non-man bun. It's better than the
Exactly.
hair down.
Thank you
It's
all.
a bit like, I don't know, I just fall out of the woods.
Morning sunlight fills the room, and the clock tells me to go. 'Cause there's people I need to see, and places I need to be, but I wish that I could lie here with you. 'Cause you are my nightlight, and always my guiding star. You're the one who always lights my way. When the night comes, and I won't forget your spark. You're the one who led me from the dark. So shine on, shine on, shine on with me. Shine on, shine on, shine on with me. Dance with me tonight in Boulder, Colorado. Let me sweep you off your feet to the rhythm of our dreams. Without you, I'd be forever counting sheep. So shine on, shine on, shine on with me. Shine on, shine on, shine on with me. So shine on, shine on, shine on with me. 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 Shine on, shine on, shine on with me.
David Howley, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
We Banjo 3 here at eTown Hall.
Yeah.
You guys are doing great, selling out, a bunch of shows. 10 years, is that how long the band's been around?
Yeah, it's wild to think.
Yeah. And of course, we all have our notions about what it's like being an Irish musician. And we presume that you grew up in a musical family and that you were surrounded by traditional music and that was your thing. So
that I have 50 brothers and sisters and that...
Yeah, so correct our misperceptions here.
Close. I mean, my family was just myself and my brother Martin. We did have a dad who played music, and that kind of, for me and Martin, was where the genesis of the blend of Irish and bluegrass came in.
Yeah.
Our dad was a big fan of largely everything. We had, a cassette player outside of our bedroom door that had Paul Brady and Doc Watson and a mixtape of all of that stuff. So we grew up without kind of a musical border.
Oh,
but then, as you say, we spent a lot of our childhood playing in pubs, playing Irish music in pubs with people probably 70 years older than us, 80 years older than us. So we did grow up in the, I suppose, the dream of what it would look like.
Did your dad know all the tunes? He knew it. Like if you go into a cozy in an Irish pub and they're playing sets, they're playing series of tunes that go together, and you decoded all that pretty early on?
We did, and I think that for me and Martin, and maybe that's the kind of connection between me and Martin and Enda and Fergal, is that like we would have kind of grown up going to these sessions that Fergal and Enda were playing at because we really admired them as musicians.
Yeah.
And then I think Irish music has a kind of a osmosis effect that, like, I don't know how many tunes I know. And
Right.
likewise with Fergal and Enda and Martin.
Yeah.
But you kind of, I suppose, you hear them so many times. It's just, I think there's kind of a mantra, almost a meditation kind of element to Irish music.
Mm-hmm.
It is it's a big group of people who are playing the same tune
Right.
together many, many times.
Yeah. It's like a trance music of some
Yeah.
kind.
Particularly, my favorite thing in the world was, the barman would be like, okay, like the police are literally on their way. It's 4:00 in the morning. You get to play one more set of tunes, and then you have to leave.
Yeah.
And that set of tunes could last 2 hours because we would just keep rocking into tune after tune.
Yeah.
So it's a great family of musicians, I think.
You mentioned Paul Brady, and I
Yeah.
think about Paul Brady and Andy Irvine and Planxty and bands like that in some ways saved a lot of traditional Irish music from drifting into obscurity because they were the young people who decided that this was cool and they could actually kind of reharmonize and come up with different chords for some of these tunes and it helped, I think. I don't know what it was like in Ireland, but from looking at it from a distance, it seemed as if those guys really kind of gave a lift and a boost and in some way preserved the music.
I think for us as well as kids, it's like people were like, "Oh, my favorite band is the Rolling Stones." I was like, "Yeah, my favorite band's Paul Brady." And as a kid in Ireland, you just thought that those were equitable, you know.
Yeah.
And I think Ireland had a beautiful folk revival that myself and Martin and Enda and Fergal were really, I suppose, children during. And now there's another folk revival happening in Ireland again. You've great bands like E Vagabonds, John Francis Flynn, Niamh Regan. These artists that a lot of them I grew up playing tunes with, and they're taking on the mantle that Paul Brady and Andy Irvine and that crew did back in the 70s.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul Brady and Andy Irvine, that album that's influenced a lot of Wee Banjo 3 in lots of ways. It's, mandolins and bazookas and banjos and guitars playing in close harmony and voices. It's when I step back now and listen to our records, I kind of go, oh yeah, I can tell what I was listening to, you know?
So this is a very old Irish tune called The Bunch of Green Rushes, as David said. But what we've done with this, because we love American music, is we kind of bluegrassified it, which is a brand new word. But then we've put it with a very quintessential American tune called Salt Creek, which we therefore play in an Irish style.
I know you guys as a band have identified mental health as an issue that you want to talk about and you want to be public about. And does that largely come from you, or where does that come from?
I mean, I think the initial spark was me. I spent a lot of my teen years and my 20s trying to stay alive. You know, I had...
Staying alive, battling depression, or
yeah,
what?
I had pretty bad mental health issues when I was younger. A lot of anxiety, depression, medicated, and I think that at that point, I hadn't heard a lot of people talk about it. And, you know, for me as an artist or as a musician, I see that there's a responsibility to be a human being. You know, I'm never going to be a rock star kind of cool guy with shades walking around. That's just not the personality that I am.
Mm-hmm.
I think the rest of the guys in a band are the same. You know, we like the idea that we're just human beings and we make mistakes and we have faults and all that good stuff. And part of that is that if I was when I was 17 years old, if I had heard a musician that I listened to their music talk about mental health, it would have been really helpful, because I would have went, oh, I'm not actually the only person doing this.
Yeah.
So we started working initially with Mental Health America. And we've kind of worked through and worked with a number of different organizations over the last couple of years, both, you know, donating parts of our profits towards them, having them come and set up tables and stands in the foyers of our gigs. Because, I mean, you think about the last 2 years that we've been through, the world's a hard place.
That's right.
And I think that we all like to pretend, and I think it's a nice idea that we all walk out the door and like, yeah, my life's great. Everyone has something. And I think that when you're in the grocery store in some parking lot and someone cuts you off in their car, if you can have some empathy for where that person might be at, your day gets better too.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to make sure that we were leaning in with a little vulnerability, not just musically, but as people. And honestly, the feedback has been beautiful.
Sure, of course. I think it's great also that as we become more successful as musicians, we invite scrutiny, we invite people to be connected with us and to us, and to let our audience know that we have things that we care about, that we are, in fact, as you say, vulnerable and conscious. It simply makes that connection deeper.
I think for us as well, we're a pretty young band at 10 years, and I think I'm mindful of the maybe trail that was blazed for us by like bands like yourselves, and that you guys went out there and did harder touring. You didn't have Google Maps, and
That's
so
right.
there are luxuries that we have that allow us a little more space and a little more time to lean into things. I want to play music for the rest of my life. I want to be on stage in front of people. I want to see people smile and sing. I also want to find a way to do that when I'm 150, because that's my plan, at least.
Sure.
So far, I'm a little bit the ways there, but you know, when I'm older, I'm looking back that I tried.
You tried.
I tried everything I could, and I
Yeah.
tried to be progressive, and I tried to be open.
Over the ditch and into the wilds, cross through shadows for miles and miles, to a place where silence sings, and chorus bells of freedom ring. You set off strong, you set off proud, search a goal that can't be found. It's buried deep within your heart, and it's been with you from the start, and you've been looking wide and far. And maybe the gift of life is living, the treasure is the quest. What if the truth in every legend is you can only try your best? What if you threw away the compass and crumpled up the map and pick a postcard for your mother and follow your own path? Before you're feeling less, but you're wanting more. The journey onward calls your name through the fields of shadow and pain. So call the darkness, call the light. The beacons of hope tonight. Feel the pull within your soul, and it'll tell you where to go. Search your heart, you already know. 'Cause maybe the gift of life is given, the treasure is the quest. What of the truth in every legend? 'Cause you can only try your best. What if you threw away the compass and crumpled up the map and pick a postcard for your mother and follow your own path? Maybe the gift of life is living, the treasure is the quest. What if the truth in every legend is you can only try your best? What if you threw away the compass and crumpled up the map and pick a postcard for your mother and follow your own path?
Let's talk a little bit about the arc of the band, because I think that what's so interesting, and it does, you know, you share this with bluegrass musicians, but traditional Irish musicians, almost, you know, there is that discipline and learning from your elders that is hard. This is not something that is to be trifled with. If you're going to walk into a session and you're going to be, you know, toe-to-toe with some people who've been playing for all their lives and they know the stuff, you don't want to show up without having done your homework.
No.
And that means achieving a level of proficiency and not just being proficient, but being musical and proficient. And I think that's true in the bluegrass community too here, where there's a lot of technical prowess that's required, but it's also understanding the context. So I want to talk to you about that in relation to your band now, because I look at you and I see you as a band that also really wants to be popular. Like you really want to play big festivals and lots of people and you know, do all the things. And so there's a balancing act there.
Yeah.
There's a line that you cross where you're trying to achieve success.
Yeah.
Where that traditional root and discipline, you know, allows you to have this other dimension. So do you think about that, or you just want to, like, we're going to do what it takes to put on a great show and reach more people?
I think we do. I think it's a blend of both. I think it's the beauty of having a balanced band. You know, there's no leader of this band. I'm speaking to you right now just because I'm the most chatty probably today. But there's no leader of the band. So everyone has a different impact on the ecosphere of We Banjo 3? I would say, for me, it comes down to a cultural myriad of colors that it's so hard to tell, because something that's pop music now in 10 years' time might be completely old and stale, and then in 20 years' time might be vintage. And I think that for us, what we're trying to do is take virtuosic music. And I think that we're highly inspired and terrified by you bluegrassers, because the way you play makes us kind of dizzy. But we're trying to take that and bring it into a space where it's available. So I think that maybe is more of the blend, is like, how do I, as the singer of We Banjo 3 and the writer of some of the music, how do I write a song that has lyrical content and something that means something to someone, but also I'm standing on stage with three of who I think are the best musicians that I've ever met. And often my takeaway from most of the shows is that I've underutilized the people on stage. You know, between, you know, Enda and Martin and Fergal, they're incredible. And I think that maybe that's the balance, is it's trying to figure out, okay, in a total show, in a 90-minute show, how, not just fast and slow songs and happy and sad, but like, how do you flex the different musicians on stage, and how do you really get people to see not just the technical prowess, because, you know, if you see someone do something really cool, you might go to that show, but the next time you're like, well, I saw the really cool thing, so I'm not entirely sure if I want to go back and see the show again, because I saw them do the cool thing. Whereas if someone speaks to a part of you that you feel like you come away maybe a small bit healed, or maybe even a small bit split open, where you can actually feel something that you hadn't felt before. I'm a big advocate of therapy. I've been in therapy for 10 years now, weekly. And for me, the music falls into that same category. I go to a lot of shows myself, because every time I go to a show, I get inspired, I think about what the artist is trying to tell me, and I'm just trying to bring that same element to We Banjo 3. I think that is the main goal, is more connection, more humanness.
But the beauty is, first of all, you can play the music and you can sing. And Ireland is a country that is enormously supportive of the written word. And so writing and communicating on all those levels. And as you say, you're on stage surrounded by great players, you among them. And I think the dynamic is, among the four of you, you know, it has enough colors and it has enough flavors and variations to where you can tap these different emotional, you know, wells to express yourselves and make that connection. We're all lucky in that way. We've been inspired, we've been humiliated, we've been inspired, we've been terrorized. You know, we've had all those experiences from people seeing the bands and our heroes who've come before us. But in any event, it's great that you're here. I applaud your candor and your courage and your musicianship. And I'm really glad that you're here at eTown. And, you know, I'm sure we'll keep in touch.
I hope we do. It is beautiful. Thank you for having us.
Thanks, David.
Don't you dare stand up. Don't you dare stand up. Don't you do it. Oh, the fox went out on a chilly night, and he prayed the moon to give him light for him many a month. To go that way before he reached the town, many a mile to go that night before he reached the town. Oh, he ran till he came to the farmer's den, and the ducks and geese were camped there. Made me said, a couple of you gonna grease my chin before I leave this town. Before I leave this town, oh. Hey! Oh, he grabbed a great goose by the neck and he threw a duck across his back. He hit it in mine, the quack, 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 and the legs all dangling down, oh, down, oh, down, oh. Hit it in mine, the quack, 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 and the legs all dangling down, oh. back down to the den where the little ones lay awake at night, singing, Daddy, Daddy, better go back again. It must be a mighty fine town, oh, town, oh, town, oh. Daddy, Daddy, better go back again. It must be a mighty fine town. The fox and his wife put out a strike. They put up the goose with the bargain knife, and they never had to suffer in their life. And the little ones shoot on the bones, oh, they never had such a suffer in their life. And the little ones shoot on the bones, oh. Hey! Massive thank you to everybody here at eTown Live. We've had a great time. Give it up! All the staff, the backstage staff, the front of house, lights, everybody give it up! On sound tonight, give it up to the honey badger himself, Mr. Frank Marchand! Over there on the banjo, Mr. Endiscow. The banjo and the mandolin, Mr. Martin Howley. On fiddle, on bar, Mr. Fergal Scal.
On guitar and on vocals, Mr. David Howley.
Thank you very much. Did you have a good time tonight? Would you like us to come back to Colorado again? All right, then we want to hear you dance. We want to see you dance. Are you ready?